AskReddit by deleted. How religious are you in your life? Not really. I was exposed to religion as a kid, but it wasn't forced on me and I drifted away as I grew up. Can relate to this so much. My mom is super religious, but it never occurred to me to be one. Asking Reddit how religious it is, lol. Yeah. Anyone who says they are and that they have a relationship with some deity that they find meaningful is gonna get buried in downvotes. I used to be non-religious, but now, thanks to the Christian nationalists, I am actively anti-religious. Amen. I'm not religious. Jehovah's Witnesses are alerted to your location when you say this. 0%. Minus 2000% for me. I'm not religious. Magical bearded skyman isn't gonna appreciate this comment. I am devoted to my Christian faith. I simply do not force it on others. If all Christians were like this, I might actually still be one. I try to follow the basic teachings of Christ, but that's basically just being a good person. That's not all it is, I know, but it's the most important part to me anyway. I religiously wake up every morning, religiously eat food every day, religiously don't practice religion. As someone who's religious, that's a good wordplay, lol. As a former Roman Catholic, I'm now agnostic. Same. Atheist until my team is losing a playoff game. More than 20 years since I stepped foot in a church. Walked out on a nasty sermon by a cranky old priest insisting we harass gays and abortion clinics, had a pro-life woman bring a huge poster of an alleged aborted fetus and demanded we get one and stand in front of abortion clinics. I stood up, got my 3 young kids and walked out, never went back. Thank you. I consider myself a practicing Muslim. We don't really refer to ourselves as religious because it can easily segue into feelings of arrogance. I'm more religious than this person or that person. Anyway, a practicing Muslim is one that strives to fulfill the 5 pillars of Islam and follow the commandments of God, SWT, and stay away from prohibitions. Do you pray Fajr each day? That's some insane devotion. If yes, you have my respect. I'm deist. So, 0%. Was born into a Roman Catholic status, but made my own choice when I had the knowledge to do so. I grew up in a deeply Southern Baptist and religious home. I am the youngest and my 3 siblings have followed the teachings we grew up with. As a feminist, I cannot stand how biblical teachings hold women back and men treat them as they are not as valued. So, now, I am spiritual and admit I know nothing, but I do believe in a higher power and pray occasionally. I try to live a life that respects others and values others. People matter. Evangelical teachings. I grew up Catholic and I'm still somewhat religious. Granted, I don't really go to church and I'm not the best example of Catholicism, just look at my username. Not at all. You can set your own morals and be a good person without being scared of any supernatural beings. Just because there are questions that are hard to answer doesn't mean you have to take the lazy way out. I understand your point, legitimate. There are plenty people who identify with a particular faith who just don't have the fortitude, courage and/or cognitive skills to think for themselves. But the reality is, whether you believe there is no gods or you very much believe in a higher power, you can choose to follow a dogma or ideas that others have assigned for you, and unfortunately, there are dogmas associated with politics, art, music, culture, etc. It's not all about religion. People of all groups can be incredibly lazy and closed-minded, and people of faith can be incredibly lazy and closed-minded. I have friends and family that run the spectrum of religious belief, and the unifying factor is that they are thoughtful and open to hearing what others think, and they don't feel it's right to impose their will on others. I appreciate that about them. Grew up Mormon. Stopped attending and removed my records as soon as my parents couldn't force me anymore. I have no desire to explore or join another religion. Same. I am a devoutly faithful Christian, and I do my best to live it, and demonstrate it, rather than preach it. Because I'm not a skilled preacher and you don't need to hear it from me. Read the Gospels and you'll know everything about it that I do. Not religious at all, don't necessarily believe in God, would say I'm more agnostic and lean more towards scientific truths. My favorite quote comes to mind when this subject comes up. I am not an atheist. An atheist is someone who has compelling evidence that there is no Judeo-Christian Islamic God. I am not that wise, but neither do I consider there to be anything approaching adequate evidence for such a God. Why are you in such a hurry to make up your mind? Why not simply wait until there is compelling evidence? Carl Sagan. It is far better to grasp the universe as it really is than to persist in delusion, however satisfying and reassuring. Also Carl Sagan. Quite religious. I am a Muslim. Careful now, you're on Reddit. I had been wearing a rosary for more than 12 years already every day. But I'm not religious whatsoever. I was baptized at 16 and was very religious then. A few years passed by and I completely lost it for the next 15 years. But the more I have learned about the world and how evil it really is, the more I wanted to be totally against it. I wanted nothing to do with what I see in society. So I am now back to my Christian self and very joyful in it. I have peace now where before I had worry. I just started listening to the Bible Recap podcast and it's been really amazing. Thank you for asking. I love the Bible Recap. Just found it. Spiritual maybe, a beginner, but not specifically religious. Knowing and experiencing God is the purpose and meaning of life. 0. Atheist here.